Hello everyone, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club and welcome to my channel. Tonight I'm going to discuss some changes I've made to the solo rules and bot for Hearts and Minds 1965 to 1975 from Compass Games. In my previous video on the game, I provided an example of play using the in-box solo rules and bot. However, after a closer inspection of the rules and bot, I noticed that I wasn't using all of the solo rules correctly. In the solo rules, each side, not only the defending side, but the attacking side as well, is allowed to reinforce a province following a battle by paying 1 RP or 1 SRP and moving forces from any number of adjacent provinces. This is an important tactic, especially for the bot, as their forces tend to get scattered into smaller groups. However, even with this oversight, I felt that the solo rules in bot could use a bit of revision. So in this video, I'll discuss the changes that I'm proposing, and I'll play through the 1965 scenario to demonstrate how they function. So, let's go to the table and get started. I'll bring up a copy of my revised solo system on the screen and we'll go through these. The file is offered as an alternative to the solo system provided in the solo play guide. It seeks to clarify some inconsistencies in the solo rules, which will help to streamline the solitaire experience, while still maintaining a fog of war regarding the bot's selection of cards. So that's the premise that I'm going to proceed on. I'm going to keep as many elements of the original solo design as possible, and we're basically just trying to streamline this a bit and make it a little bit more competitive for the bot. Now the reinforcement phase will be just as it is listed on page 4 of the solo player's guide. We won't need to make any changes to that. During the hand refill phase, we're going to use the same procedure as it is outlined in the solitaire play guide. Each side is going to choose 5 cards, and we are going to play 4 cards per year. The human player will have his cards face up and will be able to select those as he chooses. The bot's cards will be face down, and we're going to pull 2 cards, and we'll play the card with the highest RP value, just as it is in the solitaire play guide. If the values are the same, we're going to play the second card. At the start of each year, the bot player is going to make a campaign bot decision. We're going to roll a d6. On a 1 to 3 is a yes, and we will be placing a random zone campaign card into the draw deck. So the human player won't know when that card is going to come out. He'll just know that there is a campaign card in the draw deck. If at any time that during the course of that year that the bot player would draw a second zone campaign card, that will simply be replaced with a new card from the draw deck, and that campaign card will be returned to the campaign card deck. If the bot player does draw the zone campaign card, it'll be resolved according to the rules on page 3 of the solitaire play guide. If the bot player is red and the year is 1968 or 1972, we would determine if the qualifications for the respective grand campaign card have been met, and if they have, the red bot will play that card. If not, it will be permanently discarded from play. During the card play phase, just as I have said earlier, the human player would draw whichever card he chooses to use. The bot player is going to turn 2 face-down cards up, and he'll play the one with the highest value. Now it should be noted that the blue or red bot sequence is to be used as a guide. But we would override the selection if it doesn't make tactical sense, or if the action would instruct the bot into combat at a substantial disadvantage. In this event, we would spend 2 RPs, bank one of them, and attempt political control in 1 or 2 provinces where the odds of success would be most likely. That would be a lot better than ordering the bot to make an attack that is at a great disadvantage. Now the use of the response deck will be slightly different. What I'm proposing is before each battle, each side will roll a die, and the response card will be drawn on a result of 5 or 6. Another change would be if the card is to be resolved during another phase. As an example, during the reinforcement phase or the interphase or whatever, the card will be played. It'll be set aside and resolved during the next appropriate phase. So all the cards in the response deck are going to be functionable. After a response card is used, it'll be placed in the discard. If a player's response deck is exhausted, the response cards will be pulled from the discard and shuffled to create a new response deck. This way we're going to be able to cycle through all of the cards in the response decks. I'm also proposing a change to the Viet Cong rules. In the solo rules provided, the Viet Cong basically don't move. Once they're placed on the map, they only move in response to evasions or a card action. But in these rules, the Viet Cong, you can move 1 Viet Cong unit during each red turn, meaning the play of a single card. Also, the VC will remain hidden until they are required to be revealed either by card, combat, or ambush attempts. When a blue force moves into a province containing a bot-controlled VC, we're going to make a bot decision for each VC present, and if the result is yes, the VC will attempt ambush. A revealed VC in a province without enemy units will revert to its hidden side at the end of the current turn. All revealed VC units are returned to their hidden side during the reinforcement phase. And also, I say note, a turn is defined as the resolution of a single card by either side, not the play of an entire hand of cards. The interphase will remain unchanged, and we'll use the rules as written for that. Now, I also have some miscellaneous rules. Single units, whether red, blue, or black, always attempt to evade when facing a larger enemy force. So if ever a single unit on the board is attacked by 2 or more units, it will always attempt evasion prior to the battle. And once again, after the first round of battle, both players may reinforce from any number of adjacent provinces at the cost of 1 RP or 1 SRP. In the rules as written for the 2-player game, only the defender can reinforce, and it costs him 1 SRP per province that he chooses to move units from. So in this case, we're allowing both sides, at the cost of 1 RP or SRP, to reinforce that battle area from adjoining provinces. Another miscellaneous rule is when the red bot draws a 5 RP card, we're going to make a bot decision, and if the result is yes, they're going to bank an RP. And that's an attempt to build up their SRPs for use later in the game for the Grand Campaign cards. Another rule is if the red player is the bot, we're going to roll a die at the beginning of each of the card turns. If the result is a 1, the red player is going to launch a raid at no cost in RPs from each province containing a single red unit or a single revealed black unit. We'll use a bot roll if more than 1 target province is available. That will give the bot a little bit more action during a card round. And then finally, the Whispering Death card. In the solo rules, they tell us that the cost of that event is 2 RPs instead of 3 for both sides. Now we'll take a look at my revised red bot chart. Now this is what's going to be controlling the communists. I haven't prepared one for blue yet, but that is in the works. Basically, I've kept the first section identical to the red bot chart that comes with the game. And it basically says that if a campaign card is drawn, the text will take effect with no die roll. If the campaign card is a Grand Campaign card, all VC units are revealed, and the VC are moved towards the nearest US bases. Next step is if North Vietnam contains any units, we're going to roll a die. Now I've changed the results on this chart from the chart as written in the game, it comes with the game. Instead of using odd and even, I've broken it into die roll results. This first section is if 1 to 3 and if 4 to 6 for the result. We've got a total of 5 different classifications, and if one doesn't apply, we move on to the next one. Each of the following 5 roll another die sections be broken into basically 3 different actions instead of 2. That should give a little bit more variety, and I've structured this to have the, in this case, red bot focus more on control of provinces and to make sure that that element is not left behind, because that's where the red player is going to be gaining a lot of his victory points. And now I'll quickly go through the procedure of how we're going to create our card decks. We begin the procedure by separating the decks by color, red, blue, and black. Then we're going to remove the response cards from each of the colored decks. Then we're going to shuffle the black response cards, and we're going to place 1 extra black response card into the red response deck. The other 4 are going to be placed into the blue response deck. That's going to give each red and blue a total of 8 response cards. We'll shuffle those up, place the blue response deck on the south side of the board and the red response deck on the north side of the board. Then we're going to set aside the red and blue 1969 cards. That'll be 4 cards for each side. Those will be added into the player's draw decks at the beginning of 1969, 1970, or 1971 scenarios as directed. If playing against the red bot, we're going to place 4 blue zone campaign cards face up near the south edge of the board, and place the 4 red zone campaign cards face down near the north side of the board. We'll set aside the 2 red Grand Campaign cards for use during the 1968 and 1972 seasons. If we're playing against a blue bot, we would just simply reverse the procedure. Then we're going to shuffle the black deck, and we're going to deal out a total of 8 cards to the blue player. We'll add 8 black cards to his deck. That will give him a total of 23 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That leaves us with a total of 13 black cards. We're going to add those to the 10 red cards, giving him a deck of 23 cards. We'll shuffle each deck, and those will be our draw decks for the game. Now, if we were playing the 1969, 1970, or 1971 scenarios, we would also be adding in the 1969 cards to the relevant decks as described in the scenario rules. And now I'm going to get into the demonstration of how the bots function. I'm going to set up the 1965 scenario per the rules. The only exception is I'm not going to be taking advantage of the blue player's ability to redeploy 5 friendly units plus his air and naval units after the setup. We'll leave it just as it is, and then we'll commence a 4-card playthrough of the 1965 scenario. We'll just see how the bot's working. The game is now set. We've set it up according to the 1965 scenario sheet. The only variable placements were we placed an extra VC in Ninthaun and an extra one in Fourth Corps in Anjuyen. We begin with the reinforcement phase. That is skipped on turn 1. We'll move on to the hand refill phase. We're going to draw 5 cards. The US players will be face up and the NVA's cards will be face down. The US hand consists of Agent Orange, Pentagon Papers, Nguyen Van Thieu, Hamburger Hill, and Creedence Clearwater Revival. The bot has drawn 5 cards and those are face down for the moment. Next up is the card play phase, and we're going to begin with the red bot. Communists will go first. And we'll begin by choosing the highest value RP card and then continuing on. So we're going to draw 2 cards and see what we have for the communists. First card is China and USSR. Second card is AK-47. We'll be playing the higher value. AK-47 card will be inverted. And we're going to play the China USSR card. That will award the red bot 4 RPs. So we'll place 4 RP markers out to keep track of what they spend. As there are no campaign cards during the 1965 season, we'll continue with the chart, and it says if North Vietnam contains any units, roll a die. And they do. So we were going to be rolling a die and seeing what happens. Result is a 2. That reads, if 1 to 3, spend an RP to move up to 4 infantry units and 1 support unit from North Vietnam into Quang Tri Province. Any units remaining in North Vietnam will move south down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Roll a die for each unit to determine how many provinces they move. If movement results in overstacking, move the unit 1 additional province. All right. So they are going to make an attack into Quang Tri. 4 veteran and 1 artillery unit. They moved into Quang Tri City with the VC unit that is already there. And now I'm going to make a roll for each remaining unit in North Vietnam, and they're going to move down the Ho Chi Minh Trail, whatever the die roll is listed. I'll take care of those off camera. All right, so the NVA units have infiltrated south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. We've got 1 NVA regiment in East Saravan, 2 in Atapu, 1 being an artillery battalion, 4 regiments in Ratan Kiri, and 2 regiments in Mando Kilri. That action used up 1 of their RPs, so we're going to continue on now with rolling on number 1, roll another die, and we'll see what the results are. Result is a 3, and that says spend 1 RP to move the largest bot force concentration to attack the weakest blue concentration within range. If RPs remain, go to number 2. So we'll spend an additional RP, and the largest bot concentration would be the force in Quang Tri City. We've got a total of 4 units here, and there's 5 units in Quang Tri. So those will be moving to attack the weakest blue concentration within range. The weakest blue concentration is in Quang Nam, has a total of 6 factors. So the veteran units in Quang Tri are going to move south through Thua Thien into Quang Nam. So they'll move 1, the veteran unit costs them an extra unit, 2 and 3, and they move into Quang Nam. Now the VC unit is also eligible to move. It has a movement value of 1. And I've prepared a token. As the VC are only able to move 1 unit per card, I prepared a double-sided token with the Viet Cong flag, not moved and moved. So I think we will move that VC unit. We'll move that one province into Hue, Thu Thien province. They've already got control of Quang Tri, so we'll do that. That will be the VC have moved. Now we're going to execute the combat in Quang Nam. We'll begin the battle sequence. Number 1, defending units may evade. So the blue player could decide that that force is too strong and evade if we choose to. Now this is kind of an important province for us, that's Da Nang, so I think we will remain where we are. We would reveal any concealed VC units and resolve any bad intel units on the Bush events table if that was true. If no defending units remain, the battle is over. We would cancel the sequence and the attacker would not spend an RP. If blue was attacking, air and naval units can react, but both red and blue units must be present. Now each side is going to tally their total attack force. The blue player has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So we'll give them a 6 die to record that. The attacking NVA have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 units, 10 points. So we'll give them a total of 10. Now each side is going to roll a die, and on a result of 5 or 6 they'll be able to employ one of their response cards. And the blue has rolled a 6, so we're going to draw a card from his response deck and employ that in the battle. The card is Lay Chili, lie motionless. Play if red units move, retreat, or react into a province with a Vet allied unit. The Vet ambushes it as though it were a VC2 unit. All right, so that card is active. So that's a valid card. We're going to use our veteran Arvin regiment in Quang Nam and make the roll on the ambush table. We'll be using the reinforced VC roll, and we'll make the roll and see what happens. Result is a 6, and that's D, defending unit eliminated. So the communists will have to lose one of their units, and that goes into the body count box. Now the battle will be resolved. It's going to reduce the strength of the NVA from 10 down to 8. So we'll mark them accordingly. And now we're going to make our die rolls and resolve the combat. And that's the results we have. We'll total those up and check our combat chart. We'll begin with the NVA attack. They have a total of 14. We'll look on the battle table on the red column. 14 produces 2 casualties for the blue player. So he's going to lose 2 untried regiments. Those will go into the body count box. Blue has a total of 11. Look on the blue column. For 11 is 2 casualties. 2 veteran NVA units will go to the body count box. And that finishes the battle. Now, either side can now reinforce that position at a cost of 1 RP or 1 SRP. Now the communists have no forces that are adjacent, so they won't be able to reinforce, but the blue can. So for a cost of 1 SRP, they can reinforce from adjacent provinces, and I think they will do that. They're going to use 1 SRP, and I think they're going to send in an untried regiment. Now we'll send in the veteran Arvin unit from Thu Thien. That will bring up our combat total up to 6. The communists will have 4, so I think that is good. This card will be discarded. And if either player, if their response deck is exhausted, we'll pull those response cards from the discard and reshuffle the deck, and create a new response deck. All right, the communists have 2 RPs remaining, and we'll continue on by rolling on number 2 column now. Result is a 5, and that says spend 1 RP to activate a province containing 2 VC formations, to move one of the VC formations into an empty adjacent province or an adjacent friendly occupied but uncontrolled province. Then attempt political control in either province. If no province contains 2 VC formations, go on to number 3. Well, we do have 2 provinces that contain 2 VC. The 2 provinces are Ninh Thuan and An Giang. We'll make a die roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 2, so Ninh Thuan will be activated. So the VC will move one of their forces into an adjacent province and attempt political control in either the original province or in the one they're moving to. Our choices would be Canhua or Thuyen Duc. And I think they would probably want to try to get that US base. So they're going to move a VC unit into Canhua, and then they're going to attempt political change. VC units are automatic, so that will be successful, and they're going to convert that Canhua province to VC control. And we'll mark that accordingly. All right, the North has 1 RP left, so we'll continue rolling. We'll check the number 3 roll and roll another die. Result is a 4. And that says spend 1 RP to attempt political control in 1 or 2 provinces where the odds of success are most likely. If RPs remain, go on to number 4. Well, there are no provinces where the NVA or VC can attempt political change. They're either already VC controlled or there are enemy units in the province. So we're going to continue on and make a roll consulting number 4 to spend that last RP that they have. Result is a 1. That says spend an RP to activate the province containing the most bot units. Move the units to the nearest coastal province containing the fewest blue units. All right. Well, the largest bot concentration on the board is on the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Ratanakiri. So they're going to activate for movement. They've got 4 movement points, and they're going to try to reach a coastal province with the fewest enemy forces. And there are several provinces in range. We've got Binh Thuan, Quang Ngai, and Quang Tin. I think Quang Tin makes the most sense because we have units in the adjacent provinces, Quang Kontum and Quang Nam. So we'll make the move there. It'll be 1 and 2. And that is going to complete all of the RPs for the red player's first card. So the China USSR card will go into the discard. And now we'll move on to the US player. Well, we have the very powerful Nguyen Van Thieu card, which could be used for its event by paying 2 RPs out of the 5. That would prevent a coup from occurring this year. So I think that would probably be a smart card to play. So we're going to do that. We're going to play the 5 value card. That'll give us 5 RPs with which we can spend. And I think they are going to purchase that event. So we're going to pay the 2 RPs to play that event. It says place the card near the body count box as a reminder. So we'll put that into the dead pool. That's going to prevent us from having to deal with coups during this first turn. We have 3 RPs remaining. I think the US will begin by ordering a B-52 strike into Quang Tin. There's 4 enemy units there, so we'll be able to roll using the bomber chart for bomber ground attack against 4 units. The cost is there's no RP cost for us to launch that attack. So the bomber unit is going to discharge its payload, and we'll see if we can gain some casualties on the NVA in Quang Tin. Result is a 4, and that is going to inflict 1 casualty on the NVA, so they're going to place another unit into the body count box. All right, that bomber unit will remain there until the end of the turn. That will affect any NVA movement through that province. All right, the US is going to spend an RP, and they're going to activate Bien Din province, and we're going to move some forces into Quang Tin to try to deal with that incursion. I think what we'll move in is a veteran US and both of the ARVN units. We'll leave the Rock Marines in Bien Din, and they're going to make their move through Quang Ngai into Quang Tin. Now, we can also move in support units if that goes to a battle, which that's going to be our next RP. We'll spend another RP, and we're going to signal for an attack into Quang Tin province. We'll go through our procedure. The defenders can evade if they choose. Now they've got a total of 3 strength points in there. They could attempt to withdraw and evade, and they could move into Kontum or back across the border into Laos. I think they're going to stick it out. So we'll go on to our next part of the battle sequence, and that is if blue is attacking, they can move in. Air and naval units can react within range. So the US will obviously want to send in the Blue Water Navy for gunfire support, and they're also going to send in the 1st Air Cav in Tuyeh Hua. It has a reaction range of 3. 1, 2, and 3. So they were able to reinforce that attack into Quang Tin. So the US forces now have a total of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attack strength. So we'll mark them with 8 attack strength. NVA has a strength of 3, so we'll mark them with 3. Now each side is going to roll to see if they're going to get a response card. 5 or 6 will earn them a response card. And neither of them have rolled for a response card. So now we're going to execute the battle. And here's the roll. All right, we'll add these figures to their already existing totals and find out what is happening. We'll start with the US attack. You have a total of 8, 9, 10. 10 on the blue column equals a 1R. So what that means is the enemy is going to lose 1 unit, and then they can spend an SRP to prevent the loss of another unit. And in the solo rules, the VC and the NVA do not spend the SRPs. So they are going to lose another unit, and that's going to go to the body count box. The NVA attack was a total of 6 on the red, is an R. So we can spend one of our SRPs to prevent the loss of a unit, and I think we will do that. That'll move us down to 0 on the SRP columns. So these dice are removed, and that closes the battle out. There's still 1 NVA unit remaining in that area. So the battle's concluded. Now we have to calculate if there are going to be battlefield promotions. The Vietnamese had a total of 3 units there to start the battle, so we would be able to promote up to 3 units. So our untried ARVN units will be promoted to veteran. Same situation for the North Vietnamese. They can promote the unit that they do have left. US player has 1 RP remaining, and we're going to spend that in an attempt to hunt down the VC in Thu Thien province, We don't want them poking around in Hui. So what will happen here is the VC will attempt to evade. They're going to make an evasion roll, and that is a VC down token, and that'll be the row that we're going to use. So the VC will attempt to evade using that column. Roll is a 2, and that has no effect, so we're going to go to battle. VC unit will be turned over, and that's bad intel. So we're going to make a roll on the bad intel bush table. We'll roll 2 dice, and that's read as a D66. The red die will be the 10s. Here's the roll. Result is 41. That reads, an exceptionally severe storm strikes this province. Both sides must retreat all units, red first. The allies may assist the villagers with aid. If blue spends 1 RP immediately, add +1 to the RVN stability and remove any flag here. Well, unfortunately, we don't have any RPs remaining. We've spent them all. And I don't have any SRPs remaining. So, in this case, the bad intel token is removed, and that's placed into the VC cup. Now we have to move, and I guess we're going to have to move those forces into Quang Nam, and that's what we'll do. It's all within the stacking limits. Got 4 infantry units and 1 artillery. All right, so Hui is unguarded right now. All right, that's going to complete the US card. We'll go to the communist cards and turn over 2 and see which one they're going to play. The first card is the one that we saw earlier. That's AK-47. Second one is Uncle Ho. So we'll be playing the Uncle Ho card. Turn that card over. It's going to award them a total of 5 RPs. They've got 5 RPs, and when a 5 RP card comes up for the bot, we have to make a bot roll. And if yes, they're going to bank one of those. And that is in an attempt to build up their reserve resources for future offensives. So we're going to make the roll and see if they are a yes or no. Now the bot roll is 1, 2, or 3 is a yes, 4, 5, or 6 is a no. Result is a 2. So that is a yes. They're going to spend 1 of those RPs, and they will add 1 to their SRP track, moving that up to 3. All right. We begin the card phase by examining North Vietnam. If there are any units in North Vietnam, we would make the roll to determine what they're going to do. There are none, so we're going to move on to number 1 roll and look at that table. So we'll make the roll and see what they're going to do. They have 4 RPs. Result is a 6, and that says buy and conduct the event printed on the card. If RPs remain, go to number 2. All right, so they are going to purchase the Uncle Ho card, and that says cost 2 RPs. In every battle round this year, when you attack, add +1 to your battle factors. That's very powerful. So they're going to spend 2 RPs to play that card. Gives them 2 cards, 2 RPs remaining. So we'll continue on now with, they have 2 RPs remaining. We'll move on to number 2 and make a roll. Result is a 6, and that says spend 1 RP to activate a province containing 2 VC formations, to move one of them into an empty adjacent space or an adjacent friendly occupied but uncontrolled province. Then attempt political control in either province. All right. Well, the VC have 1 province that contains 2 Viet Cong formations. That's in the A Ju Yen province in 4th Corps. So they're going to spend the 1 RP. They're going to move one of their VC formations into Ba Ju Yen, and they will attempt political change. And since it's a VC unit, it is automatic. And they've got control of Ba Ju Yen. All right, the North has 1 unspent RP, so we'll be making a roll, and we're moving on now to number 3 in the sequence. Result is a 2, and that says spend 1 RP to activate 2 provinces along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Units in each province move as separate units, first into empty provinces in South Vietnam, or if none, into the nearest province in South Vietnam containing only friendly units. So they're going to spend their final RP, and we'll examine the forces on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And there's a total of 3 provinces on the Ho Chi Minh Trail that are occupied, so we'll make a die roll to determine which ones are going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 1. So the forces in Mando Kel Ri are going to attempt to move into South Vietnam into vacant provinces. And I think they are going to move into 1, 2, 3. We'll put 1 into Bien Thuen and another one into Nguyen Duc. They've infiltrated into South Vietnam. Now we'll make a roll for the second force. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that'll be the forces in Atapu. And they're going to also attempt to infiltrate into vacant provinces in South Vietnam. Well, definitely one of them would be into Thua Thien, so we'll move them there, 1, 2. And I think for the second one, we'll try to get them into, that's an artillery unit, into Quang Ngai. All right, that finishes up the card for the north, and that Uncle Ho card now is going to be active for the rest of the year. It says in every battle round this year, when you attack, add +1 to your battle factor, so that will remain on the table. All right, the U.S. is up next, and we have to decide which of the 4 cards we have that we want to play, and make that determination based on the RPs and on the events that they include. And I think we're going to play the Pentagon Papers. That's going to give us a total of 4 RPs to spend, and the event is quite interesting. That reads, leaked to the New York Times by Daniel Ellisberg in 1971. Nixon. Let's get this in jail. Top secret U.S. report on conduct of the war removed from the game when played as an event. Blue cost is 2 RPs. The report is not leaked. Add a hawk, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to spend 2 of our 4 RPs, and we'll suppress the Pentagon Papers. And that's going to give us +1 hawk. So we'll move our hawks up from 10 up to 11, which is good. Now we have 2 RPs to spend for actions. U.S. has 2 RPs remaining, and I think we have to be concerned a little bit about our SRPs because we don't want to take a chance on any South Vietnamese stability issues. So I'm going to use 1 RP, and we're going to bank that, giving us 1 SRP. And I think the other RP we're going to use, and we're going to attempt to pacify Quien Hoa province in 4th Corps. In order to attempt pacification, we have to have a U.S. unit present, and we do. So what we do is we add up the total number of units that are there, including any support units, and we roll a die. If the result is the number of units or less on the die roll, we have pacified the province. So here's the roll. The result is a 5, so we failed. All right, that will be all of the RPs for the U.S. We'll switch back to the communist player. Communists are up next. We'll flip over 2 cards. We've got the AK-47 and In Country. In Country has a higher value, so we'll be playing that card, and that's going to award them 3 RPs. All right. All right, there are no units in North Vietnam, so we will start by rolling on first columns, and we'll make a roll. Result is a 5, and that says buy and conduct the event printed on the card. If RPs remain, go to number 2. So we're going to attempt to see if that in-country card will be purchasable. And that card, there's no purchase value. It says you may attack once for free in every mountain province this turn. So that is an active card. We don't have to purchase that, so we'll move on to the next sequence, and that is number 2. Roll is a 3, and that says spend 1 RP to move or conduct an attack in Cambodia or Laos if the odds would be equal in favor of the bot. If casualties caused in the attack equal or exceed those of the bot, spend an RP or SRP to reinforce the province or continue the attack. All right. Well, we would be outnumbered if we try to launch an attack into Champasak. So I think what they'll do is spend an RP, and they're going to move those Pathet Lao forces into Jikong. And that will prevent maybe them from trying to block our movements down the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So that RP is spent, and we'll move on now to number 3, and we'll make a roll. Roll is a 6. That says spend an RP to activate all provinces on the Ho Chi Minh Trail containing single NVA formation and move them into adjacent friendly occupied provinces to create concentrations of 2 or more units. All right, well, there is one formation in Saravan, East Saravan. So they're going to spend 1 RP, and they're going to move that force and reinforce their position in Dua Thien. That makes sense. All right, they have 1 RP left. We'll move on to number 4. The roll is a 4, and that says spend all remaining RPs to move all NVA units as a force along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Roll a die to see how many provinces the force will move. If the move causes a force to overstack or move off the end of the trail, it will instead move into adjacent SVN province. Well, there are no more forces on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, so we'll move on to number 5. The result is a 2. It says spend all remaining RPs to activate the province containing the greatest concentration of units and move the force towards the nearest, most weakly defended blue base. If SRPs are available, spend 1 to conduct an attack in the province. All right. Well, the greatest concentration we have on the board is either the force in Quang Nam or the force in Dua Thien. So we'll make a roll to determine which is which, and then we're going to try to move them to the weakest force in range. Okay, so I think what we'll do then is we'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that'll determine the force. Okay, it's going to be the force in Dua Thien. So they're going to move and try to get to the weakest concentration in range. And I think that might be Binh Dinh province. And we'll see if they can make it there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because of the veteran units, that's going to cost extra. So they won't be able to reach the weakest one, then would be either of these 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8. So I guess it's going to be Quang Nam. So they're going to move these forces into Quang Nam, and they're going to launch an attack on Quang Nam. So we'll make a roll and see if response cards will be played by either or both. Neither of them are going to be playing response cards. So we'll total up the combat factors and see what's happening. All right, the North has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combat value. So we'll mark them accordingly. We'll give them a 6. And the U.S. has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. All right, they've got a total of 9. We'll mark them with 9. And now we're going to make our attack roll. All right. We'll start with the NVA attack. They have 11. 11 will be in 1R. So I think what we'll do then is we'll spend 1 to get the untried as a casualty, and I guess a veteran We'll get them. I don't want to. I only have one SRP, and we have to be careful. So those are going to be added to the body count box. The U.S. player rolled a total of 10, and that's going to be a 1R as well. And they're going to lose 2 units instead of spending the SRP. Those will be added to the body count box. Now each side is able to reinforce by spending an RP or SRP. The bot is required to reinforce if there is a province that has 3 or more adjacent units. There isn't. So it would be kind of a bot decision, I guess, to decide whether they're going to reinforce from Quang Nam, or Quang Tin rather. So we'll make a bot decision. 1, 2, 3 is yes, 4, 5, or 6 is no. Okay, it's a no. And I think the US is also going to pass on reinforcing. I almost forgot, they have the Uncle Ho card active, and that should have added 1 to their battle factors. That would have moved up the NVA attack up to a 12, and that would have been a result of 2. So either way, 2 units have been placed into the body count box. And that's going to end the NVA turn, and the Uncle Ho card will remain active for at least another card action. The NVA's in-country card that they have says they can make an attack once. You may attack once for free in every mountain province this turn. Well, unfortunately, none of the mountain provinces are in a combat situation, so the card will just be discarded then. And we'll move on to the US. All right, the US has 3 cards left. And I think we're going to use this Agent Orange card. It'll get us 4 RPs. And we can purchase that event if we choose to. All red units in a South Vietnamese province you choose, except Saigon or Thu Thien, must retreat. Well, we need to, I think, build up our SRP, so I probably will not purchase the event, but we'll use the 4 RPs to best effect. Now, looking at our body count, we've got 4 SVN units in the body count box, and we only have 1 SRP, and we've only managed to pacify the existing province we had, which is Saigon. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to spend 1 RP, and we'll move up our SRPs by 1. That'll give us 2. And then we're going to try to pacify, I think, Quien Hua. We'll spend our 2nd RP, and we'll attempt pacification of Quien Hua. Okay, here's the roll. We need a 4 or less. And we've done it. So that is our 2nd pacified province now, and we'll take a look at the rest of the board. And I think what I'm going to do is activate Quang Nam province for attack. We have an advantage here. We've got a total of 6 against 4, so that's pretty good. And we'll be able to bring in our support units as well. So, in this case, the defending units may evade if they choose to. I think they'll stick it out, and we'll see what happens. The next step is if blue is the attacking unit, they can bring in support units, and they're going to bring in the Blue Water Navy and the 1st Air Cav to support. Now we're going to make a roll to see if any response cards will be played. And here's the response roll. Nope, no one is going to be playing any response cards. So we'll tally up our totals here. The NVA has a total of 4. That is their strength, so we'll mark them with 4. The US has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And we'll mark them with 10, and then we'll roll our combat dice. All right. And here's the combat roll. Now, the Uncle Ho card is still active, so that's going to give them an extra 1. And that's when they attack only. That's only in attacks, not defense. Okay, so they don't get it. Here's the roll. All right. Those are our combat results. We'll start with the U.S. attack. They have 11, and 11 on blue is 2. So both of those units will be destroyed. All right. NVA scored 6. That is an R. And I think we'll use the SRP. We'll deduct that, and that will preserve our forces intact in the province. All right, so now we can look at possible battlefield promotions, and all of the units in there are veteran already, so we don't get any. All right, we have 1 RP left. Let's see what we can do. And I think we're going to spend that RP to activate Quang Tin province. The NVA unit is going to attempt to evade because it's outnumbered and it's a single unit. So we'll roll on the evasion table. It'll be on the 1 unit roll. The roll is a 6, and that's E, that's evade. So they can move into friendly province, and I guess that would be into Quang Kontum province. All right. There's no units here now, no enemy units, so the attack never went through. So we still have our RP available to us. And I think what we'll do is we're going to spend that RP in Quang Nam province, and we're going to attempt to pacify that. We have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units in the province. So if we roll anything except a 6, we will have pacified that province with Da Nang. And unfortunately, we rolled a 6, so the success is not there. That is going to spend all of the RPs from that card, and we'll move on now to the last action card for the communists. And those cards are revealed to be AK-47 and the Hanoi Hilton. So the Hanoi Hilton will be played. AK-47 is going to be shuffled back into the draw deck for the next turn. And they'll be playing the Hanoi Hilton card, which is worth 4 resource points. We'll get them 4 resources points, and we'll see what they're going to do. There are no units in North Vietnam, so we'll be rolling on the number 1 roll, another die set. Roll is a 4, and that says spend an RP to move the largest bot force concentration to attack the weakest blue concentration within range. All right. Well, the largest bot concentration would be that force in Kontum. So they're going to move in the veteran NVA unit and the VC unit. And Rock Marines in Bien Din province can withdraw if they choose. And I think they will try to evade. So we'll make a roll on the evasion table for 1 unit. Result is a 4, and that is evade. So I think the Rock Marines will move into Tuy Hoa, and the NVA has possession of Bien Din for right now. Now that costed them 1 RP, even though the attack didn't take place. They did get the movement out of it, so they have 3 RPs remaining. And now they'll roll on number 2. Rolls a 1, and that says buy and conduct the event printed on the card. All right, the Hanoi Hilton card says for red it costs 2 RPs, move 1 allied unit from the dead pool to the body count box. Well, there are none in the dead pool, so they will not play the card, and we'll just continue on. We'll go to number 3. Roll is a 1, and that is spend 1 RP to activate 2 provinces along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. All right, and well, we got no units on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, so we will continue on again. This will be number 4. Rolls a 5, and that says spend 1 RP to bank an SRP and then conduct a free VC raid against the weakest random blue force in range. All right, so they're going to spend an RP to bank an RP. Puts them up to 4. And now we'll see where the weakest adjacent force to a VC is. Well, there are several that are equal strength. The force in Can Hoa is 4. There's 4 in Long Con. There's 4 in Tuy Hoa. and there's 4 in Darlac. So I guess we'll just make a die roll. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll see which one is going to be the one. 4. So that'll be the last one. That'll be Darlac. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, that'll be Trois Huai. Okay, so that'll be, this VC is going to attempt a raid. So we'll have to reveal that and see what it is. And that's bad intel. All right, so we're going to have to roll on the bad intel chart. Okay, here is the roll. And that's 63, and that says blue units discover a reinforced enemy position. Take the firebase marker from wherever it is and put it in the province as a red firebase. If there are no NVA units here, take one NVA unit from anywhere in the map, flip it to veteran, and stack it with the red firebase. Wow, that's a good one. So the bad intel marker is removed to the VC pool, and we can place an NVA veteran and the firebase. So we'll take the NVA unit from Bien Thuan and put that into Tui Hua and get out the firebase marker. And that firebase marker is going to give -2 dice roll modifier, or -2 to the strength of anybody attacking that formation. And the VC have 2 RPs left, so we'll make a roll on the number 5 chart. Result is a 1. It says spend all remaining RPs to activate the province containing the greatest concentration of units and move the force towards the nearest, most weakly defended blue base. If SRPs are available, spend 1 SRP to conduct an attack in that province. All right. Well, there really aren't any viable concentrations of NVA or VC. So I think what we will do is use that default rule that I have, and that says that in this event, spend the RPs to bank an SRP and attempt political control in 1 or 2 provinces. So they'll spend all the remaining SRPs, we'll add 1 to their SRP total, moving that up to 5, and then we'll attempt to political change in 2 provinces. We'll attempt political change in Bien Din, which they have the VC unit, that'll be automatic, and we'll attempt it in Thuyen Duc, and that'll be a roll of, only on a roll of 1 would that succeed. And they fail. Okay, so that is going to end the communist player, his card play, and we have 1 card left to play for the US. These are the cards left for the US player. I think we'll play the Creedence Clearwater Revival. That's going to get us 4 resource points to spend during the turn. And I think we're going to spend 1 RP in Quang Nam province, and we'll attempt to pacify that. We've got the US units there. We need anything except a 6 would be a success. And we've done it. So we've pacified the province. And we have 3 RPs remaining. And I think for our second RP, we're going to activate Long Khan province, and we're going to move 3 untried Arvin units into Bin Duong. As they move in, we have to determine whether the VC are going to ambush them. A 1, 2, 3 is a yes. And they are going to. So we are going to get an ambush with this VC unit, and it is revealed to be a VC battalion. Okay, using the VC roll, the roll is a 1, and that is ambushing unit eliminated. Okay, so that VC unit goes to the body count box. All right, and I think what we'll do is spend a second RP, and we are going to convert Bin Duong province away from the VC and back to South Vietnamese control. We've got 1 RP remaining. We're going to activate Darlac province, and we'll activate 3 SVN regiments, and they're going to move into Quang Duc. As they move in, we'll see if the VC are going to ambush. 1, 2, or 3 is yes. And they will. So we'll flip that over. It is a standard VC battalion, and we'll make the roll. Roll is a 6, and that is defending unit eliminated. So the ARVN unit is placed into the body count box, and that is going to end 1965. And now we resolve the interphase. We begin with whether there are any grand campaign cards played. There are not. We would check for collapse in Laos or Cambodia. There is no collapse. Now we're going to adjust our political will. There would be 1 dove if it was 1969 or later. No. 1 dove for every U.S., IF, or ROC unit in the body count box. There are none. Plus 1 dove if the body count box, the number of red units is equal to or less than the number of blue. And that is not the case. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the NVA and VC have much more than that, so they won't qualify for that. Now we're going to count up the red flag provinces in South Vietnam and add doves. There are a total of 12, and that is going to be 3 doves. So we'll move it from 11 hawks down to 8 hawks. Then we have to check RVN stability. We're going to subtract the number of pacified provinces from the ARVN units in the body count box, and we'll have to pay the difference. We have a total of 3 pacified provinces, so we would mark the RVN stability at 3, and then we have to subtract out all the units in the body count box. There's 5, so that would put us at -2, and we would have to pay 2 SRPs to prevent that from happening. If we can't do that, it's RVN government collapse, and I made a mistake. I should have put more points into our SRP column. So South Vietnam would normally go into a coup, but we do have the Nguyen Van Thieu card, which prevents any coups this year. So we're in good shape with that, thank goodness. And then we would simply check our victory conditions. Right now we have 8 hawks. The end of 1965, looking at the victory goals, if as long as we have a total of -7 or greater, it is a U.S. victory. So we have a U.S. victory. We're at -8, and we needed -7 or greater. In this case, -8, -9, etc. So it's a U.S. win. And that is how the game will be played using this solo system. And that's going to bring the playthrough portion of this to a close. And I'll just talk about the rules a little bit and then we'll close out. Well, in addition to this playthrough, I have played a total of 4 turns. I played from 65 to 68 in a playtest and this one. And I have to say the bot is working, I think, better in this condition than it did with the original bot, at least in my opinion. The results seem to be more realistic. We had some bad luck in here for the VC. They had quite a few bad rolls against them, which could have changed the situation here a little bit. But I think that this seems to work out pretty well. I'm going to continue playtesting this, and if I can finalize this, I will end up posting it on BGG. In the meantime, I'm also going to revise the blue bot, and then we could try playing this with as the communist player against a blue bot American player. Well, that's going to about wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed this preview of the revised solo bot and rules for Hearts and Minds 1965 to 1975. Thanks for joining me at the Solo Gamers Club, and I hope to see you again next time with another video. In the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club wishing everyone a pleasant evening and a good night.